In the bustling town of Zoria, where street lights flickered like lazy fireflies at night and the sound of car horns never seemed to rest, there stood a small wooden suya stand at the corner of a busy junction. Every evening, people would gather there for one reason: ADAMU. ADAMU was not like other suya sellers. He never spoke much. He wore a brown cap that covered half his face and always dressed in clean white kaftans, no matter how smoky the night became. His suya smelled better than anyone's in town, spicy, soft, and melting in the mouth. People said one stick of ADAMU suya could make you forget your worries. But the strange thing was this: no one knew where ADAMU came from. He would appear just as the sun began to fall, set up his fire, roast suya till midnight, and vanish before dawn. No one ever saw where he lived. Some said he lived by the old railway tracks. Others whispered that he came from the forest behind the river. Children were told not to follow him when he packed up, for his shadow never seemed to move like other men's shadows. One night, when the moon was bright and the air smelled of pepper smoke, a young man named Musa stood near the stand and said quietly, "Who really is this ADAMU? How does his meat taste better than everyone else's? And why does he never run out, even when the market closes?" The other customers laughed nervously. "It's just his secret recipe," one said. But Musa didn't laugh. He watched as ADAMU smiled faintly, his eyes glinting in the firelight. Something about that smile made Musa shiver. And that was the night curiosity began to burn, stronger than the fire on ADAMU's grill. By the next week, ADAMU suya had become more than food, it was a story. Taxi drivers, students, and even police officers stopped by his stand every night. His meat was soft, well-seasoned, and strangely addictive. People said ADAMU had golden hands. Whatever he touched turned delicious. He never argued with customers, never raised his voice, and always greeted people with a slow, humble smile. Yet, those who stayed late noticed something odd. When the crowd left and only a few people remained, ADAMU would whisper softly as he turned the sticks on the fire. The words sounded like no language anyone understood. Sometimes, a sudden gust of wind would blow, and the flames would rise high, too high for a normal fire. One woman, Mama Kudi, said she once saw ADAMU throw something into the fire, something that shimmered green before turning to smoke. "Maybe he uses herbs," someone said. "Maybe he uses something else," another replied quietly. But the people didn't care. As long as the suya tasted good, they kept coming. Money poured in for ADAMU, but he never built a house, never bought a car, never hired a helper. He lived like a shadow among them, quiet, alone, and full of secrets. Musa, the young man who first noticed the strange things, couldn't stop thinking about ADAMU. He sold phone accessories by the roadside, just a few shops away, and each night he watched the suya stand carefully. He noticed that ADAMU never rested. He never coughed, never sneezed, never even yawned. It was as if he didn't get tired. One night, Musa decided to follow him, just to see where he went after closing. At exactly midnight, when the last customer left, ADAMU packed his knives, folded his mat, and began walking. Musa followed from a distance. The road was quiet, and the only sound was ADAMU's slow footsteps and the faint jingle of coins in his apron. But as Musa turned a corner, ADAMU was gone. Vanished. No sound, no shadow, no trace. Only the faint smell of suya smoke in the air. Musa froze. His heart pounded fast. How can a man disappear like that? He whispered to himself. From that night on, Musa became obsessed. He told his friend Bola, "There's something about that man. I'll find out if it's the last thing I do." 3 nights later, Musa stayed hidden behind a kiosk near the junction, pretending to be asleep. Around 11 p.m., the street grew quiet again, and ADAMU started packing up. But this time, Musa heard something strange. A low, humming voice, not human, came from the Suya fire. The coals glowed bright red even after ADAMU poured sand on them. Then, a whisper, "ADAMU, it is time." Musa's body turned cold. ADAMU bowed slightly toward the dying fire and said softly, "Yes, Master." Then, the fire went out completely. Musa trembled. "Master. Who is he talking to?" he thought. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. He watched as ADAMU picked up his tools and slowly walked away. This time, instead of following, Musa ran home, sweating and gasping for breath. He couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw ADAMU bowing to the fire. The next morning, the town woke to strange news. A boy from the next street had gone missing. People searched everywhere, calling his name, but he was never found. Rumors began to spread. Some said kidnappers were back. Others said the river spirits had taken him. But one old man at the mechanic shop whispered, "It started after that new Suya man came." By evening, people still came to buy Suya, hungry and curious, but a few now watched ADAMU with suspicion. Still, he smiled and roasted, as if nothing in the world could bother him. Musa couldn't stay silent anymore. He told Bola what he had seen, the voice, the fire, the strange bowing. Bola laughed at first, but when Musa swore it on his mother's name, his face turned serious. "If what you say is true," Bola said, "we must find out who or what ADAMU really is." That night, Musa and Bola hid behind an abandoned kiosk near the stand. They carried a small phone light and a bag of sand in case of trouble. At first, everything seemed normal. ADAMU roasted meat, smiled at customers, and counted money. But around midnight, the fire began to glow brighter than usual, casting long shadows on the wall. Musa whispered, "Look." From the corner of the Suya stand, they saw something unbelievable. The shadow of ADAMU was moving on its own, even when ADAMU stood still. Bola covered his mouth to stop a scream. "That's not normal," he whispered. Suddenly, ADAMU turned his head slightly, as if he had heard them. The boys dug behind the stand, hearts racing. After some minutes, they peeked again, but ADAMU was gone.